Hey, everybody, listen, thanks for stopping by to the Noisy Chair Podcast, episode 208. And to let everyone know why the creation of the Noisy Chair Podcast happened, people want to share their story, concerns about being loud. Well, I'm here to listen, have an opinion, and talk to people. That's what it's all about. So my name is Dave, a.k.a. DJ Dave. Love being part of a new journey with amazing people on my podcast. And today we're going to talk about that really holds a place in my heart, and that's mental health. And that could be a lot of subtopics under that term, mental health. With me today in my studio are two guests, and one that you might be familiar with is a regular on my show. So please welcome Joey Drex and Rosalie Sheehan.
Hello.
There is a clap, so I don't know if it's going to come on or not, but who cares? Listen, they're the duo of their new podcast called That's a Good Cup of Coffee. So welcome to my studio. Thanks for joining me tonight, guys. Appreciate
Thank you
it.
for having us.
Thanks for having us, DJ Dave.
You still got to be coming out to the parties, man. I tell you.
I know, man.
Listen.
I need to dance. You know that? And you are the best DJ in town.
No, stop, man. Stop.
You are.
Keep going. What?
You get the body moving, baby.
Hey, listen, it's a good vibe, and that's what we try to create. That's what I want to create, and that's what this, going back to vibes, these podcasts are about positive vibes. We want to just make sure that everyone that listens, and hopefully there's more than one person that listens to this podcast.
Yes.
That maybe that, if we can help that one person, that's all that matters to me.
Good things happen. That's
right.
Wonderful. Good
things happen, and you're happy.
Yeah, but Dave, before we make an introduction about this wine, because I'm really thirsty.
God, I was going to say, man.
But if I don't say this,
okay, you say it.
So
Go ahead.
But about that helping one person. Listen, our podcast is geared towards mental health, probably 75% of the time. We have some fun. We do it all, but we really have begun to engage with our audience, and we get a lot of DMs, a lot of conversation about people saying, I heard something that I can relate to, and now I want to talk. And that's what it's all about. So you said, if you just help these conversations, man, they matter.
Yeah.
And that's what this is all about.
Yeah. Absolutely right, man.
Connecting with that one person tonight.
Sure. You're absolutely right. Speaking of wine,
yes.
Before you talk about the wine, I want to thank you guys for joining me. And this is, 2023.
Woo!
2023.
It's going to be a great year.
Yep.
Great for having you guys. Thanks so much.
Nice to meet
Lots
you.
of
Cheers.
exciting things going on in the podcast world for both platforms. It's exciting to see your growth, Dave, and
thank you.
And your constant evolution and everything you do. Man. It's inspiring.
Well, listen, I appreciate that. I mean, normally I would have this studio a little set up for 3 people, but it's normally set up for 1, maybe 2. But sorry for the green screen back there. It looks like shit, but
it's where our audience is, man.
You want to talk about this wine?
Yeah, I brought this wine.
Yes.
Which is by Snoop Dogg.
Big up to Snoop Dogg.
19 Crimes is the name of the winery. What a serial entrepreneur taking his brand.
100%.
You put Snoop Dogg on a wine bottle, you're like, it's got to be good. And let's be honest,
dude. Snoop Dogg, if you're listening or watching, big up to you. This is a beautiful wine. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much,
Snoop.
Mr. Dogg.
Cheers to you, Snoop. But Dave, there's the reason why That's a Good Cup of Coffee exists is the last time I was on here with you, it didn't exist yet. We sat down in this room, and you posed the question, and I remember watching it back and hearing myself answer it. Really shook me.
What did I tell you?
You told me, just fucking do it. I was like,
guys, just exactly like that. Just exactly like that.
Like life happens. You're busy.
Right.
You fucking find the time.
Right.
And I did.
Right.
And,
good for you, man.
And I'm really proud. So thank you.
Oh no, listen.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Listen, I helped one person get into podcasting. 2 people. Yeah. Amazing. Listen, I mean, thanks for the wine. Thanks for you guys for coming in. For just so that people understand that we're trying to make people aware of situations that are real in real life, and that it affects everybody. It affects me, and I'm sure it affects you guys as well. That that this shit is real. Depression, anxiety, just all this is just mind-blowing to understand and cope with it and try to find ways of dealing with it. So tonight, the podcast is, we're gonna jab on a few topics that we can sort of, hopefully provide personal tools that can help out, to help you guys out, which helps us, which helps me out. Rosalie.
Yes, Dave.
So tell us where you're from and a bit about you.
Oh, this is where my server goes down, and I try and remember who I am. So I'm from England originally.
Yes. Okay.
My background specifically is in mental health, respite care, end-of-life care, things like that.
Awesome.
I have qualifications, diplomas in abnormal psychology, mental health counselling,
Wow.
supporting challenging behaviour, or as it's known, behaviour that challenges, because no behaviour is challenging.
Right.
It comes from the same place.
Right.
I've worked with teenagers. I've worked in education, supporting teenagers who are going through difficult things at home and at school. I've worked with kids who are neurodivergent. So I've worked with anything from diabetes to cerebral palsy, physical support. I've done lots of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've
good.
made it. I've made a point of educating myself to be around my people.
Yes.
So,
Well, your dad.
yeah,
is
my
that.
dad was
Gotcha.
Irish, so I moved there. I
Yeah.
didn't know him very well. He died when I was 9. He took his
Sorry
own
about
life.
that. Wow.
So if your listeners and viewers have heard any of our podcasts, they'll know a little bit about what I went through.
Okay.
So I went through a couple of years of not knowing a lot about anything, including myself, but
Gotcha.
then I had to make choices, and my choices were to learn more. So I needed to learn about what was going on in here because of what had happened, and then I discovered this is something I really want to be involved in, because if I can help myself, then I can help other people.
100%. 100%.
And and Rosalie's story is like many, dark. And I've said on our show, like, she could have went down a completely different path in life, but she's a natural empath, a natural healer. She wants to help people.
Right.
It's clear. I see it every day.
Right.
And it's natural that she is this way towards mental health. So when it came time to, find the perfect co-host, it couldn't have been a better person.
Right.
From an educational background and just life experience too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
More than books, man. Life experience.
Right.
It really matters.
Also, treatments and terminology are different here than they are in England and Ireland.
Okay.
Terminology is a massive thing. Like even as basic as a paracetamol, I had never heard of Tylenol. So it's like, what's Tylenol? Can I take this? Is it legal? So I will continue to educate myself, but that's not exclusive to me being me. I think everybody should.
Right.
Especially when it comes to mental health.
For sure. Absolutely. And I think we all learn from it in one way or another. Like, I mean, I don't have any credentials in that industry, in that field.
But you do, because you have mental health and you have mental ill health.
Are we going to fight tonight? Or
Yeah.
No, but
I've had 2 sips of wine, Dave.
But she poses a good point, though. You are like we all are. We've lived it through our own self and our own ways, through people we know. Perhaps we've been there for people. I see your posts on Facebook, letting people know that you're there for them.
Man.
You're not doing that
for socialize, for just the social
You're not
aspect.
doing it for fucking likes, man.
You're doing it 'cause
you're
it's
right. Coming from a real
you're
place.
right.
So
I didn't think it that way. I didn't look at it that way.
Your credentials are being part of humanity, and as humans, the only duty we have is to be kind to each other.
Oh, absolutely.
So
100%.
That is the biggest credential. It doesn't matter what you get in high school or college or university. None of that matters.
If we can all talk about it, and I never ever thought about that I would talk openly about it. It was just recent that I did. I didn't have any breakdowns. I didn't have any, any like, life-threatening concerns that I had, but but there's other ways that you can feel that way of the anxiety and just being freaked out and not knowing who to turn to, right? Think I have a beautiful family, beautiful wife they'll help me through a lot of stuff. And when we talked about offline, saying about communication and talking, 100% that you have to be involved in talking and speaking openly about issues that you could have, that you think you might have. If you're talking about it, chances are that is an issue. Okay, if you're talking about it, okay, it's not just you want to have a conversation about, hey, let's have a conversation about depression. No, I mean, like, if you're seriously talking about something, it means that you have been involved, know somebody who's been involved, or you're experiencing yourself. There are some trigger points that could happen.
Trigger points happen in mental health when you're experiencing some darkness. But the only way you're going to learn coping skills is by listening, by learning, by reading, by watching, by viewing. How else are you going to learn, right? Sometimes it takes that trigger point to get you over the edge. And I talk from past experience myself. I've lived on both sides of the sword of living a life I didn't want to be here anymore and living a life that's wonderful because I did the fucking work. Now, if trigger points happen, I know how to deal with it because of conversation. I've been in schools for many years, in high schools. I've seen the power of communications. My programs, it created such a great ripple effect of communication through mental illness, through suicide, classrooms where they experienced a student that took their life. And now I'm in the fucking school helping them through this process. So there's a lot of experience in the back, that comes from this, from both sides of us. I wouldn't be running a podcast. I wouldn't have created a program that went across Canada and the US for the better part of 4 to 5 years if I didn't believe solely in what I'm talking about. Because I know it works. I know conversation is the only way through the darkness, man.
We can do this from first person, and we can make it easy for everybody that has concerns by talking about our own experiences, because neither of us are sitting here with no experience of anything.
Of course.
That relation
we're sitting here with experience of dark stuff. So if that makes people feel more comfortable, we'll do it from the first person. I'll expose everything. If it helps one person sit back and say, you know what, I'm going to get help, and then that person is going to help one more person, and that person's going to help one more person, and pretty soon we're all talking and we're all helping each other.
Well, that's the thing we want to have, is we want to have everybody talking, everybody listening, because it doesn't happen enough. Okay, it doesn't happen enough. You do have, Bell Talks, all that, the big corporations are starting to get involved in it, which is great. I think there should be more. Okay, there's got to be more programs. There's got to be more funding for this, because mental health to me is a growing concern, and it's also a silent killer because nobody talks about it. If they have a YMCA, they should have a someone there to talk about it. Just someone to talk to, I know
what you're thinking.
You guys had this conversation.
He's done it.
Had the fucking
He's done
program.
it.
But
then
my tsunami happened in life and I lost everything.
So then why then? Okay, so I
it's
remember,
not as easy to come back, Dave.
I totally get that. No, I'm not saying to go back
into
into it. I'm just saying like right away, because it takes time to build that.
No, which even Rosalie said to me, Joey, you've got a microphone right here, and you have a recorder. Before my life, we were about to go digital right across the country down in the U.S. I had people lining up across the country for our program in every fucking community, through all the service clubs getting behind us.
Yeah. Just a quick background of what you're talking about now, so everyone knows what you did. Just a quick
21 day. So I had a company called Be the Game. We had a program called the 21 Day Kind Every Time Challenge. It just blew up, man. And it blew up because most speakers will go into a school and they'll go in the gymnasium and they'll talk to 500 students for 30 minutes. Here's what happens with that, Dave. You have their attention for 5 minutes, then they're gone. And the only people you have the attention of is the first few rows. The kids in the back, they're not hearing nothing. They're thinking about recess, their fucking Doritos in their lunch bag. That's what they want to go to. You've lost them. So when I said, I want to teach my experience. I want to teach a program that will help kids to condition themselves to think about helping rather than hurting each other, because I challenge them all, especially in high school. I strongly believe at the end of the day, when you go home at night, you're not going to go to sleep thinking, I can't wait to go and hurt that person. That's, if you are, you have to have a solid conversation with yourself in the mirror. Nobody should be going to bed feeling that way towards somebody else. So I thought, how can we create change? Conversation. How can we create conversation? Repetition. Creating that conversation in the classroom every day. So I thought, if I'm going to go into a school, I'm not going into a gymnasium and wasting 30 minutes time for 2/3 of the audience. I want to make impact. So I said, the only way I'm doing it, I'm going classroom by classroom. Principals would follow us throughout, the first few classrooms, and they'd be like, you're going to do this in every classroom? I'm like, do you want impact in your school? Yes? Then the answer is yes. And I would spend the entire day there. No other program existed like that. I was the only one. So it came from a real raw place inside of me. I took my teachings from coaching sports, from what I learned as a teammate, and I applied that into these programs, Dave. And what happened was it created repetition, a ripple effect of change. So we would take a classroom. Teachers would tell me which students are having problems with. We would never zone them out. And when I say we, me. The program would never zone them out. They would never point them out in the classroom. But guess what? By the time I'm done in that classroom, they have been chosen the class leader to run our program for the next 21 days. Okay. Schools loved our program so much that even after the 21 days, it became a habit in their school. It was all about communication, acts of kindness, talking about our feelings, talking about what's concerning to us, creating conversation that's not normal. Right. But circle talks mattered. So it kind of blew up. And I was going everywhere, right across the country. I couldn't keep up. So I'm like, I got to go digital. Started to create the videos with the green room and all that stuff. Ready to go. Ready to go, Dave. Ready to go. Life was wonderful. My dad gets diagnosed with ALS. And in one swift 8-month window, it was all gone. Because I didn't have things set up properly. My greatest regret is that my programs had to stop at that time. And from that day forward, I've always wanted to be able to do that again, but I had to rebuild my life from the inside out. You want to talk about mental illness, man? I went from trying to take my life to standing up saying, I want to live, and being so grateful for that. And I had to fucking get uncomfortable in life. I had to go from stages to trenches. You asked for the story, man, so I'm giving it to you raw.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate that.
So I had to rebuild everything. I went from being the one on the stage to the guy in the ditch digging a hole. And you know what, man? I grew from that. So when we talk about mental health, I was at my lowest point from 2015, December, for the next 2 years. I was rebuilding my life from the inside out.
Wow.
I had to go from nothing. Dude, nothing. Everything was gone. Even my belongings accidentally got thrown out when my dad died. I had nothing, man.
Wow.
So I had to rebuild. And I got into landscape construction because I couldn't do anything else. At the time, I was so mentally exhausted from my father's ALS and just that whole journey, right? Rest in peace, Dad. But where was I?
So you had to rebuild over the next 2
years. Mental
years.
health. If I could give any advice to anybody who's waking up today going, I don't know if I can. You have to. You fucking have to get out of that bed and put one foot in front of the other. You have to be able to get uncomfortable. You have to accept where you are. You have to accept what went wrong and say, okay, but I'm not that person. Okay, I didn't have shit set up properly in case of a tsunami.
Right.
But I'll tell you what, my life is set up correctly now because of my mistakes.
Yeah.
But if you're going through it, you got to get uncomfortable. If you're rebuilding your life, if you're going through a change of job, you've been evicted, you've been fired, you're going through a career change, fucking life happens every single day, man. Every day. So if you're going through it, you have to keep going, because if you start creating the habit of staying in bed, if you start creating the habit of laying on the couch, if you start creating the habit of just feeling that darkness, it's going to consume you.
Sure it will.
So you have to take that first step, and that's where conversation happens.
Right.
Disagreements happen.
Yeah.
Disappointments happen. Oh, he's so lazy. No, he's fucking not. He's hurt.
Yeah.
He's hurting bad.
Yeah.
She's hurting bad.
Yeah.
So anyways, man, my program made a difference, and I had to rely on my program's teachings through my rebuild days.
Right.
I had to dig deep. Now I have a microphone. I have a podcast. I have the ability to create the programs again. So, long-winded answer, we're working on some stuff.
Perfect.
Because it's needed. You know where else is needed? Not just schools, man. The workplace.
Oh, 100%. I totally agree with you.
Most importantly, you think adults got it together? They're worse than high school students.
Yeah. You may not see it in the workforce, but it's in the workforce. There's issues in the workforce.
Absolutely.
Because if you take your work home with you and you complain about shit, there's issues. I talk to my buddies all the time. We always say, listen, we got to just slow down, okay? Whether it's like, you know, they were saying, don't eat your lunch at your desk, okay? Get out of the fucking office, out of your desk.
Yeah.
Or if you're in school, don't eat while you're working. Go somewhere different. Take that 20 minutes and get your head clear.
Yeah.
I'm trying to learn that because even though like I have like a ton of stuff in the go I talk about with you, you know, with the companies I have and the podcasts that I have, what I'm trying to get at is that I think if we just slow down, we work it, we talk about it, and we just give ourselves some time to just give us a break a bit and get our mind recharged. It's okay to just walk away from something that you're doing, right?
Yeah.
And just say, okay, I don't need to work on this. I'm just gonna relax.
Work on me.
Yeah, work on me. Have a coffee or a tea, and
there are 24 hours in a day. You need a quarter of one of those hours to reset mentally.
Wow.
And that's not
quarter.
15 minutes.
Yeah, 15 minutes.
A quarter of 1 hour. If you take 15 minutes out of one of the 24 hours, that will help you. Number two, the second point, I didn't say number one, but number two, the second point, edit that in a nicer accent. Time is a man-made construct. So the world and the earth and everything, you said life happens really fast. Life happens at a really glacial pace. Nothing in life, nature is happening fast.
It's true.
It's us. It's us. It's all it is us. You go into a job every day, on the whole, most people, unless you run your own business, unless you've got the ideal job that you've worked hard for, which is amazing, and that's what we should all be doing. You go into a 9-to-5 job. That job is, we care about you. You're a valued member of the team. You're an asset. If you die, your post is advertised within 2 to 3 days. You're replaced immediately.
Right.
Okay, so what's important to you? Yeah, you have deadlines. Everyone has deadlines, but you have a lifeline as well. So it's not life that happens fast, it's us that make it fast. So 15 minutes, take 15 minutes, even if it's to go into a room that nobody uses and sit there on the floor, in the middle of the floor, and just go, that's it. This is me. Yeah. I'm me. I'm in the middle of my life. This is my center.
So nice.
But it's also it's not wrong. It's not wrong to have more than 15 minutes.
Of course, it's not.
You know,
take all the time you need.
Right. There were times where I'm reading. They were saying like even if you wanted to take multiple breaks during the day and do it.
Do it.
Right.
Absolutely do it. This is one thing. So I think COVID. People are assuming that COVID caused a lot of mental ill health. What COVID did was highlighted the fact that there is so much mental ill health.
You just made me look bad.
No. And that's not my intention, and I apologize.
No, when I said
please don't hate me.
I don't know. When I mentioned about COVID, causing this, it should say it amplified.
Yeah, it highlighted because people weren't focusing on work, life, home, bills, blah blah blah. People were told to stay at home. We'll pay you to stay at home.
Right.
So I have nothing to do. Shit, I'm living with something I didn't realize I was living with. It's like that. So when you strip away everything that is normal, that we know is normal, then it highlights everything else that we didn't realize was there. In some cases, it was, the canals in Venice are clear and beautiful and clean. There's dolphins in the Hudson.
Right.
That's from the Avengers. That's not what happened. But that was in a...
but the wildlife came into the city.
I've just slipped in. Okay. That was one of the Avengers films. I'm sorry. But that's what happened. The earth cleared up. So COVID did some wonderful things to the earth. It highlighted the fact that we're actually ruining a lot of what's wonderful, but it also highlighted a lot of the negative things that we forgot we were living with. And we're human beings. We love connection. We love people. on our own terms.
Right.
We're social on our own terms, but when the option is taken away, it's devastating.
Well said.
You know?
It is.
Triggering then the attention on the mental health pandemic.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Dave's not wrong either, though.
Nope.
Because when you are alone and you're living alone and you're battling depression, you're told nobody's allowed to come and you can't go anywhere.
Yep.
And if you're a rule follower and you are somebody who believes in what's happening scientifically, you're in some trouble.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and this is what you made an excellent point. There needs to be more resources. So the remote access, people accessing someone online. I'm not sure what the setup is in Canada, but in England you can ring the Samaritans, which is a volunteer line. People are just there 24/7. A friend of mine does it. It's volunteer. You're there at the end of a phone. That's remote.
Our version here is Kids Helpline.
Okay, so we have Childline as well. I rang Childline when I was 12.
Right.
0800 1111. You ring that number and there is someone for you to talk to. There needs to be more of that. And there needs to be more of that now, because sometimes, and this is the fault of humanity, we've been made to feel bad about talking about it. You know, and it's the whole, there have been so many people ending their own lives, and the first instinct for people is, oh no, that wasn't suicide. He was so happy. He had the perfect house. He had the perfect wife. He posted a video the day before and he was happy. The reason we are in denial about suicide is because we should be riddled with guilt, because it's not the outside. We're not looking at the final destination. There's all these things that lead up to it. Suicide is the cure for all the diseases that we ignore. So someone's living with depression, they don't talk about it. Someone's living with anxiety, they're not allowed to talk about it. One day they'll just stop trying to talk about it. Fine, I'm done.
Yeah.
And that's why these conversations are so damn important.
Right.
Because somebody who's sitting there with anxiety may have just heard what you just said.
I hope they do. I hope they hear what we're saying. I hope that they say, you know what, guys, I get freaked out because of this. You know, so you know what? We all get that feeling.
You're allowed to be freaked out.
You're allowed to be that way. And how do you cope with it? So you want to just talk to somebody, or like, you know, we talked about having these helplines. And to me, when you were talking about that, I'm thinking to myself, we are so digital. We are so advanced in this fucking computer industry that just all I have to do is just create a network on, and I'm sure they have it on social media, okay? But I think there's a way where you can go and just turn your computer on and click on a website anonymously and just go and say, hey, I need to talk to somebody.
Yeah, I believe with my experience with the helpline was, at the time, you could be a viewer if you're a kid, or if you're somebody who just wants to read, or you can choose to be anonymous. That's what it's all about. You don't ever have to give a name. You can just call and say, I don't feel well.
Right.
And somebody will guide you through it.
Yeah.
So important. But I will say this about Bell Let's Talk. It is making a difference. They do fund many more programs. More online counseling is available now more than ever. I think it's interesting. This Bell Let's Talk Day didn't seem to have the pull.
It didn't feel like they had. They didn't have the grasp, or they didn't have the people to run with it.
I think what Bell needs to do in any other program is to start showing results of the programs that they're funding through all these nickels that come in.
Absolutely.
That might entice them to give more, to do more, to talk more, because the funding's there, the programs are there. There are people out there that are willing to sit and listen, to sit and share and care. We have to connect. Starlink, Elon Musk, dude, Starlink's going to change the world for people who can't get counseling. People up in remote communities, people in remote parts of the world that have no access to the internet. Don't even.
I'm not familiar with the Starlink from Elon Musk. I heard about it. I didn't do the research on it.
Yeah, so Starlink's basically. So a couple of my friends have it up at their cottage.
Is it an internet service?
Yeah, internet. Everything we get from Bell or Rogers right now is provided by Starlink. There is a fee for it, but I believe what Starlink is doing now is getting approval for each country. I just read yesterday that Turkey is, in fact, unfortunately, that's devastating. Their earthquake, oh my God.
Right, Jesus.
In Syria. Prayers to everybody in Turkey and Syria, please. But they're waiting for government approval for Starlink to come over Turkey, and that's going to provide internet to people that don't have it. So education, connection, counseling, doctors.
Man, I am all for that, but then all of a sudden the political bullshit comes to my head about, about control and about what we are wanting to, what we're supposed to hear and not hear. And what we're,
At the end of the day, that is a conversation where it's like the black hole conversation.
No, I get it.
No, but it's so important. But the only way around it, because we live in this type of society, is just go live off grid. Like many people have chosen to do, apparently.
Yeah.
Hey, what people
so many people are living in the woods now, just saying screw society,
right?
Because they're just done with it.
Yeah, no, and I know that, and it's like, but 90% of us won't.
Correct.
And
you're right.
90 and
because we want our Starbucks.
Well, because of listen, you got a point.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that we have our amenities here. We're used to that. We have kids, we have family that are teenagers that would say, "What the fuck am I going to live off with chickens?" And I'm not living off. They can't adapt to that.
Okay.
I would love for them to adapt to it. I grew up like that. I mean, my father was a European, descent, and he lived on farms, and he brought that into where we lived. We lived in a subdivision, and he raised fucking chickens in our garage.
I love it.
I love that, right? So. But to go back to it, it's like living off grid. If I thought about not the off grid, I thought about moving away from here, and obviously, listen, it doesn't matter where you go, you're gonna have other issues to deal with. Yeah, so, for sure. And I get that, but the living off grid, that's could be a totally different other topic to talk about. I'd like to me, it's like. When you said about the Starlink providing access to people who do not have access, our social media and our social world is, I don't know what to say, but it's either like, you think to yourself, I don't trust it. Okay. That, people are looking at you, hearing you, they know where you are, blah, blah, blah. So you're not talking openly anymore about anything on social media.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're living a false life.
You're living a false life. So it's like I strictly use my social media for business aspects or the hobby aspects. I don't go and say, like I'm feeling depressed. Right. Some people do.
Yeah.
That's just not you.
But the responses they receive will tell you how fake it is.
Exactly.
Or how real.
Or how fake their feelings are, how fake social media is. The
Correct.
responses will make you. It's like, nope. If somebody says that and you respond to them, then you go straight to them.
Right.
So whether it's are you okay? Not, are you okay, hun?
Right.
It's like, come on, have this conversation. And if they want to say it on social media, it's because they're asking for help.
Right.
We'll quickly find out if they're fake or not.
Right.
Because
meaning the support.
Yeah.
If the support's
for
fake,
sure.
The support is fake or not.
But that's why I think that social media isn't for that.
It's not, but it's a way for some people to reach out.
For sure. Some people just say, I've reached my limits. What can I do?
Yeah, what can I do? But you'll find with social media, sometimes it makes you question whether you should have said something. At the end of the day, if you say something, you mean it. So if you put it on social media, you have to realize that it's there. Right. But it's like this podcast. There'll be some love, there'll be some indifference, there'll be some hate. Mm-hmm. The indifference and hate doesn't. Hate. Well, sometimes disagreements. The disagreements shouldn't make you question whether what you said was right or wrong or real or not.
Right.
Because when you said it, it was real and it was how you felt.
Right.
But that's the power of social media. It makes you question everything. And that's another contributing factor to mental ill health. Their life is better than mine. How come I'm not at that stage in my life? Well, they might not be. It's social media.
So here's what I will say about the algorithm. What's that? How do you say
algorithm?
Sorry, algorithm. See, folks, I knew how to say it. Algorithm. So on TikTok, for example.
Yeah.
Okay. So what social media needs are more influencers on the mental health spectrum, Dave, And what I mean by that, if you were to go onto my TikTok right now and scroll through my what they call For You page, it's all business, motivation, dogs, nature.
Right.
It's not twerking, working. It's nothing like that.
No,
I don't watch that shit. It does nothing for me. So more influencers talking about mental health, more people watching will put you in their For You pages.
Right.
More people need to hear it. Social media can be a very powerful tool for delivering messages, not so much for creating discussions. It's not the best platform because, like you said, Rosalie, there's sometimes hate on there. There's ignorance on there. But
because it's open to everybody.
Yeah.
So I'm that guy on social media, though. I'm like one of the OG pioneers with social media as far as I'm going to talk about how I'm feeling. Right? So I've shared my experiences on social media. And I do it because that's what everything was built on with my programs, is about sharing and caring.
Right.
For me, I've seen the impact of conversation about this. I've seen the impact of doing the work. I've seen, listen, I'm that guy who went from not wanting to be here to I love life, man.
Good for you, man.
But you have to do the work to get there. You have to say, I need help. I need to do some work on myself here. But you got to want to do it. And it starts with conversation.
Of course.
If you're in a situation where you can't have that conversation, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And so what ends up happening is bust.
The thing is, mental health is about your mind. And your mind controls what you feel and how you think and how you perceive. The mind, the brain,
and what you can say,
and what you can say, and how you move. It controls everything. Your brain controls everything. Your brain is a supercomputer. It operates in terabytes, not gigabytes. It is ridiculously powerful. To keep a bag of bones and muscle and flesh and sinew breathing and walking and talking, that takes some power. That kind of power directed at how you think, how you feel, can go terribly wrong sometimes. If you imagine, we're talking about social media, TikTok influencers, this is amazing because you have to think back. There would have been one person who had the courage or the desperation to go onto TikTok or whatever and post a video of how they were feeling, and they were feeling terrible, and they were probably tears, and there was snot, and it was real, and it was raw. Lots of people, hundreds and thousands of people probably judged that person. One person saw it and thought, I understand. I'm going to post a video. One other person saw those two videos on their FYP line. FYP. And that third person goes, you know what? This worked for me. This worked for me. Fourth person. Whoa, no more wine for me.
Take this glass of wine off her, please.
Fourth person. And so on and so on. There is no solution, Dave. But all it takes for some people is one person to just be completely exposed and vulnerable. And just go, you know what? I have little concern about what you think of me anymore because you couldn't possibly judge me more than I judge myself. So I'm at the stage now where your opinion of me is so far away from what concerns me because I have the lowest opinion of me that anyone could ever have. So I'm just going to be raw. I'm just going to be real. One person on the street, one person that works in a care home, one person that works in a college, one person that works in a corner shop that pumps gas for a living. That one person gets judged for how they feel. The opinion of someone else. They're at a stage where, you know what, it doesn't matter because my opinion of me is lower than you could ever imagine. So what can I do? I need to feel good about myself. So I've stopped caring what other people think. The minute you do that, the minute you stop caring what other people think, because the way people perceive you is a reflection of themselves. No one knows you the way you know yourself.
Right.
And as soon as you realize that, as soon as you start looking in the mirror and going, you know what, I know you, I like you, I love you. In the mirror every day. It could take weeks, it could take years, but you've just got to do it once and keep doing it. And then maybe you're ready to ask for help because that gives you the courage to ask for help because you're worth helping.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, in every family, in every household, regardless of your circumstances of growing up, teenagers pushing people on the platforms, attacking old men who are homeless, 14 girls getting charged with second degree. Like, it's unbelievable. So it takes one person in the family to finally say, I'm going to be the one to break the cycle. I grew up in a terrible home. I was beaten. I was abused, whatever. But I'm going to be the one to break the cycle. And my children are not going to live that life. Mm-hmm. That's how we create change. Does it start at home? Yes, it does. Bullying, mental health, all that relation, for sure. Conversation has to begin at home. That's what we did with the programs, right? That's why it was so successful, because it created conversations at home, and that's so imperative.
Right.
Kids asking their mom and dad about their high school days, their elementary days, bullying, friendships, teamwork, all cool conversation, influential conversation, sorry. It takes one person to say, I'm going to be the one to break the cycle. But let's not be naive. We have how many people in the world? 7 billion now?
Yeah, 7 or 8 billion in that range.
Statistically, we're going to have this forever, but we can learn how to cope with it, and the only way to cope with it is through that first initial conversation. It has to happen. You have to be willing to say, first of all, I need help, and then two, okay, so now that I know I need help, who can I talk to? If I don't know anybody,
right,
go see your doctor.
Yeah, that's got to happen.
Yeah, because your life matters. Your fucking life matters. Yes. You matter, man. And I know that feeling of when you don't think it does. But I now know the feeling that, wow, I'm so fucking happy I didn't decide then to do it. Like, that I'm happy I didn't succeed in that, because I realized that through learning, through transition, through conversation, through saying, I need fucking help. And you know what? I know who I am as a man. I know this doesn't mean I'm a weak person. I'm a weak man. I'm less of a man. I don't have as much as a man. It means I'm finally being a man.
Right.
And I'm going to get the help I need.
Right.
So through it all, my core character never changed. I could walk in a room and nobody would know I'd be battling anything, right?
Right.
But I learned tools to cope. I learned tools to get through situations. And there are so many tools out there. There really are. And Google's a powerful tool. But here's what people are afraid to do. The last thing somebody who's feeling like, I feel really horrible. Why do I feel really horrible? What can I do for help? They're not going to do it 9 times out of 10. You're not Googling help. You're not. You're just thinking, tomorrow will be better. Tomorrow will be better. The conversation needs to happen. And that's why we have these podcasts, because we have the ability to reach people who may hear something and say, like you said, I can relate to that. And if that worked for them, wow, okay, I'm going to start talking to my friend about this.
Yeah.
I'm going to call Dave tomorrow and say, Dave, I'm not feeling good, man. I'd like to have a coffee with you. How do you feel about that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we need more of that.
It's hard to do, though, when you're the one feeling down. Like, if you're somebody who knows people are feeling down, reach out to them.
I know. That's why
the worst thing that will happen is you'll be known as a pest.
Well, that's one.
The worst thing.
That when you're bugging the shit out of them.
If you're bugging the shit out of them, they're responding.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing. You'll become known as a pest.
Right.
If you don't bug the shit out of them, the worst thing is you'll be reading their eulogy.
Right.
Okay. So it's like, people need to think less about, oh, how's this going to make me look, and just fuck it. I need to save a life today. But I'd like to make 2 points, if I may. That you said something about asking for help, and now is you're being a man, asking for help. That's one of the most courageous things to do. Even Christ had help carrying his cross at the end. It doesn't. It takes an immense amount of courage to ask for help. So it's getting to the point of being brave enough. But also another point I'd like to make, if I may, talking about the crimes that we're seeing. When I was an ATE manager, which is like an exclusion in high school, parents would come and yell in my face about how the high school had turned their child into a marauding berserker. They've been in this high school for 3 years. yeah, love, you had them for 13 years before they came here, so the damage was already done. Mm-hmm. So you need to look at yourself, look at your parenting. Everything begins at home. The formative years of a child are from 1 to 5, maybe 6, 7. That's when shit happens, the child is based, the personality, the development is based around that. My abuse started when I was 5. So, yeah, Joey's right. I could have gone down a completely different route in my life. Mm-hmm. And technically, statistically, I should have done. Mm-hmm. But fortunately, I didn't.
Right.
So, yes, it starts at home. It starts in the parents. It starts with parents, fosters, guardians, whatever the situation is, whatever the pronouns are now. If you're responsible for a child, you are responsible for that child. The solution to where they are now, I don't know what is happening with these, but I'm assuming they're arrested and charged. Are we allowed to talk about that?
I don't even know what happened with those people or not, but I think they did catch a couple of those people.
So if they're arrested and charged, they're sentenced. So that's their consequence.
Yeah, but there's no consequence when they're under 16.
And listen, I know guys that have been in the youth detention centers, right, when they were kids,
right,
and they all tell me, and they're my age today, saying it's the worst place in the world for a kid. There's zero rehabilitation. If you're a kid in there and you have mental illness, you're not getting any help, man. You're just a number. What are we trying to do? We're trying to rehabilitate, but there's no rehabilitation help,
right? Mm-hmm. And that's the disappointment part. Okay, what is disappointment? And it's basically feeling of sadness or displeasure caused by our hopes or expectations not being fulfilled. So you talk about the kids that do not get any rehabilitation it's disappointing because the hopes or expectations of them to come out that I've been, I'm good, I'm okay, is not there anymore. Their hopes and their dreams have just been collapsing, and it's like they've been kicked in the face.
Yeah.
Okay. And disappointment, that's all part of mental health. It's about how to cope with it, right? So again, big thing, communication is a big problem solver for that. So if you're disappointed about it, you can talk about it. If you're disappointed that you didn't get to make it to, the job that job, sometimes what happens is that person may not want to try to go for that job anymore or go for that position because they're going to feel disappointed.
They feel discouraged.
And discouraged about it, right?
That's like a speed bump that you just can't get over. It's like...
But you feel disappointment because you put expectations on everyone else. So the reason you feel disappointed is because no one else met your expectations, whether they're really high or just standard or whatever. That's why you feel disappointment, because you expected a certain behavior, a certain response from other people that you didn't get.
You didn't get.
That's not their problem.
Right.
That's your problem to deal with. And that's not saying lower your expectations.
No,
that's
not
saying
at all.
Manage your responses, manage your coping mechanisms.
You learn from that.
You learn from it. So you do have to... The biggest disappointment for me in my life was realizing that the people I thought were intrinsically and genetically programmed to protect me didn't. That's a massive disappointment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So it's like you're supposed to.
Right.
You're supposed to, because I came out of your body. You came out of that person's body who I came out of.
Right.
You're supposed to protect me.
Yeah.
And have my back. Massive disappointment. Not their problem. My problem.
Right.
So it's like you didn't. Okay. So do I have to on my own? Okay. Give it a go. Oh, it works. I'm bumbling along, stumbling through, making fuck up after fuck up in my life, but I'm doing it.
And you're learning from it.
And I'm learning from it. But if people realize that they feel disappointment because of their expectations, not because of the other person's behavior, then it will help.
Right.
And it will. I promise. It's not just spiel.
Yeah.
So you can't control the way other people behave. and how the other people respond and react. You can control you. And that's the most empowering thing. Another mental illness, anorexia, bulimia, they are aspects that give that person full control over one thing in their life because they have no control over anything else. Taking back that control over how you respond, how you react, how you deal with people, how you deal with situations, that's empowering. Everything from here to there belongs to me. I control everything here. It's all me. This is mine. Own it and feel that power. You won't feel disappointed.
I fucking feel powerful right now.
That might be the why.
No, hearing you though, it's true. Listen, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm not trying. Listen, you got to throw some comedy into it sometimes. But what I'm really getting at is that what you're saying is I'm in full control over this.
Yeah.
No matter what's happening outside here, you do ultimately have the power to
I
shut
know that.
everything off
You do.
around
I
you.
know that, and
It's not easy, Dave.
It's
It's
not
not.
easy.
No.
because I'm also thinking on the other sides of not just a young generation, but older people as well, older than us, that struggle with that, right? That they're afraid to say something. They're afraid to say, I'm in charge of this. Here's what I'm going to do. I don't care what people around me think about. This is me. No one's going to control me. Some people can't
They have fear.
they have fear. They
Yeah.
can't control that. They can't execute things. They can't say things to people.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why talking about it makes a big deal about it. You know, like Bell Let's Talk. You know, it could be anything. I don't think Bell Let's Talk should be a certain month. I think this should be
Every day.
every fucking day of the year.
Well, that's the idea.
Okay.
That is the idea behind Bell Let's Talk.
Oh,
But you
okay.
can't do it every day and expect them to do the nickels. I know what you're saying. Though.
No, I know, but I
the
mean,
whole idea is that we're talking about it today, and it happened 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
right.
That's good. We're
Sure.
talking about it.
We're talking about it.
That's the whole principle. So that it's 2 weeks in, boom. Maybe in 2 more weeks, somebody else is talking about it.
Right.
So the conversation does
Right.
continue. It's been how many? Probably 10 years they've been doing it. Maybe
Yeah,
has it been that long?
I have no idea. Not too sure, but I think it's. I think they should. Obviously, I think more companies should be on board and helping that company out,
Yeah.
and then help that company out. Like they should.
Listen, I'll tell you right now, for any listener out there who has a business, if you're in charge of your team and you're having any type of challenges with your team when it comes to disagreements, bullying, whatever, give me a call.
Yeah.
I'll come. There you go.
Yeah.
Done it. It's
There you
out there.
go.
Boom.
Fucking solution,
Done.
man.
Program is back on.
No, but I'm
You
just
heard
saying.
it
I'm just
right
saying,
here.
I'm
Because-
so happy.
Because I know.
Way to go! I love it.
No, I'm just saying it because
Little comedy,
I know it works.
Yes.
I've been in the workplaces. I've been in colleges, universities.
No,
high
and
schools,
but you're
elementary
just
schools,
you're
everywhere.
just validating what you should be back into again. I get that, and I think we need that.
Yeah.
Definitely need that. Do we need more wine? Or are you okay?
What's happening?
Who's driving home
You know
tonight?
what it is? No, I've had like 1.5 glasses, and it's like really. drying
Obviously,
away.
I've had 7.
It's really dry. Snoop Dogg makes good wine, man.
Do you want a little bit of?
No, thank you.
Okay. So to get back into it again, you know we need to have more programs that go into like live person talking into schools, into universities. Like when my kids went to university, they would tell me, you know, there's somebody there that couldn't handle the fact that they got 51 or 60. Their parents are going to be disappointed. They end their life.
Sure.
Every year there's somebody ending their life, and that's just one university. God knows how many are around that are doing that because of that.
Yeah. It's systemic, though.
Right? So, but do universities have those programs where do they have a classroom where they can go, you know what, guys, if you're feeling down, just go into the room and sit there. This is your room.
Here's some panpipe music. This is the problem at the moment. When you're 16, right, you're on your own. Okay, you're in university now. Grow up. You're doing you do grow up a bit. Actually, no, because mental health happens to anyone at any time,
Right,
any
anytime.
age. But the programs that Joey was doing, from what I've read about them, from what you've told me about them, they would work across the board. They would work from little tiny kids to big.
It was geared from
big
kindergarten,
adults.
kindergarten to grade 12, colleges, universities, workplaces, anywhere, teams, sports teams. It's everywhere, man.
I know it's hard to get back into it, but you're
time out. I got to interrupt you. It's not about getting back into it. It's me. It's who I am. That's the one thing that I've realized over the years. The programs weren't developed as a strategic money-making program. No, it was me. I was good at coaching. I am good at coaching. I'm good at teaching.
So why don't you have somebody else that you can mentor with that can take on another school? Or I had multiple. Awesome.
Hold on. No, it wasn't. I had multiple community leaders.
Okay.
So
it wasn't awesome.
Dads.
Why wasn't awesome about it?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because they were in it for the wrong reasons. Okay. I wasn't in it for the money. No, I was in it because it was me. It was me. I found the ability to make a difference in kids' lives of all ages by being me, communicating, talking, encouraging them to be better every fucking day. Okay? So the programs are always there because it's just me. Right. So that's why the podcast exists. That's why I can talk freely about mental health and my experience with it. I've told you before, Dave, I've had unfortunate situations where I've been in scenarios where I've had the ashes of, children that have taken their lives put in my hands saying, thank you for coming, because it was fucking real, man.
Yeah.
Life kicked me in the ass. It doesn't make the programs not real. It doesn't make the effects, the results of the programs, not the effects, but the effects of the ripple effect are real. Okay. So what I've learned through all this in my life, and through losing everything and rebuilding from the ground up, is that you can rebuild. You can get through it. I know everybody's stories are their own stories, and we all make decisions for our own reasons. But that morning I woke up, I said, I don't want to be here anymore. And I'm super happy I failed, because I do want to be here, because we're having this conversation now, and I can share that. I can say, I'm glad I failed. So somebody who's thinking about it might say, yeah. Just like the guys that have survived the jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge. Two people. They said, as soon as I left the bridge, I said, I don't want to die. And they lived. And now they share that conversation. If it triggers somebody about suicide, if you're afraid to hear the word suicide, I don't think those are the people that are going to be committing suicide, Dave. Okay? Because if you're thinking about suicide, that's all you're thinking about. Okay, when I woke up that morning on Christmas Day, that's all I thought about. I wanted to be gone. I didn't know how to handle what I was dealing with. I've never felt that way before. It was the darkest place I've ever been in my life. And I'm not exaggerating in any way. I'm being raw, real right now in the moment. But when I stood up after the failed attempt, I knew right then and there I was given a second chance. And buddy, it may not have happened, but I did.
Your dad passed by at this time?
My dad died on December the 14th, 2015, and on Christmas Day, I tried to take my life. 10 days later, 11 days later. There was a whole lot of shit going on in my life. That's another episode. My point being, though, is that I personally got to my darkest place. And for any guy out there, any woman out there, any person out there that is in their dark place right now, I do fucking know what it feels like to wake up and say, no, I don't want to be here. But then I know what it's like to stand up and say, holy shit, what did I almost fucking do? And I got to meet a lot of kids through my time in the high schools that tried to take their lives. And 100% of them said, I'm so glad I didn't do it. And it makes you wonder then, right? Why doesn't everybody get that second chance? So we need to talk more about it, not fucking fear the conversation about this.
No, need to talk more about it.
Well, suicide isn't to end your life; it's to end your pain.
Yeah,
it's the only option.
I wasn't thinking
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
I wasn't thinking about anything but ending the pain in that moment. It didn't change how much I loved my children. I'm so happy I didn't do that to them, though. So that's
you don't think about what you're going to do to them.
I'm telling you right now, you don't. I didn't. In that moment, I wasn't thinking about anything but I can't do this.
Yeah.
And then you realize, oh my God, I would have missed this. Of
course, man.
Okay, so I'm trying to tell people right now who's listening, don't do it. Because I'm telling you right now, if you're fortunate enough to fail, you're going to fucking be really happy. So don't do it. Just don't do it. Talk to me. Talk to your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your family, your friend, your colleague, your teammate, whatever. There's people out there. This is not as taboo as it needs to be anymore.
No one's ever overreacting as well. That's another big thing for me. When people say you're overreacting, you're reacting rationally. You're reacting relatively to what's happening to you. If someone says to you, you're overreacting, it's not that bad, fuck off.
Yeah.
This is how I feel. Like I said, Dave, is all my... People fear owning who they are because they fear owning the responsibility of who they are as well.
Right.
So it's like you have to take all of this. God doesn't make any mistakes, or whoever you believe in, Wizard of Oz doesn't make any mistakes. Whatever this came from, whatever this was made of, it's not a mistake. It's not an error. It's not something that shouldn't be here. It's not something that is in the way. It's not something that's too loud or too fuzzy or too goofy or too freckly. It's fucking important. It's valid. Every single person is valid.
Yeah.
And as soon as you realize you are valid to who you are valid, you're important to yourself.
Right.
Then we can start living.
Yeah.
I very powerful. I got scared for a second there.
You should, because of the hair.
Very passionate.
Frizzy.
Very passionate about it.
I was like, whoa.
I didn't condition.
Listen. We can talk. You got to put some comedy, some humor, because it's about positive. It's not about a negative thing we're talking about.
No,
listen, even when I was in my darkest moments, there was many days I would laugh my fucking ass off because life was great.
Yeah.
But then the lights go off at night, and then you lay down your head on the pillow and you're alone.
Man, I know, and that's where we need. So that issue where the lights turned off and you were alone. That's where something needed to be done. Because you recognized it, right? And you're like, okay, holy fuck, here I go, man. So either you pick up a phone, you can talk to somebody, but if you don't have anybody to talk to, there should be some resources for that purpose,
I will say this about talking to people. At my darkest time before I was, and it's funny, Dave, because I was always telling kids, step up, talk, take that first step, and I couldn't fucking do it myself, right?
Yeah.
So,
talking to people. You will say this about talking to people. You said, Dave, I will say this about talking to people.
I forget what Dave was saying.
He was saying there has to be more resources.
Yeah, there's got to be more resources for people to say, I'm going to pick up the phone, I'm going to go online, I'm going to go visit, I'm going to go for a walk and get some air and rethink this.
See, this is the problem with me, right? I literally have ADHD, and that what just happened. You said something. I wanted to say something really important, and it's gone.
Hey, listen.
But then that weighs heavy on me because then I start feeling like people are going to judge me. And I want you to put this in here. Don't edit this because this is real. This is a real moment for me. It's bothering me. I didn't hear the last fucking 10 seconds of what you said because in my head I'm thinking, oh my God, I lost what I was going to say. And it bothers me, man. So I deal with that. And I fucking have a podcast. She has to keep me on cue. And even I'll ask her, where was I? I can't remember. So it's gone. So that's a real thing. ADHD is a real thing, man.
So what happened was you were talking about being alone and with your thoughts. You used to laugh because life is wonderful.
Thank you.
You go home and the lights go off. Dave said about there has to be me resource. There we go.
I got it. You said about being alone at night. See? We work together. The team.
There you go. You work.
But listen, man,
the duo.
Here's what I found out. Before I started to talk to people, before I went to my doctor, before I said, oh my God, I need some help, I would lay in bed at night. And you know what I started doing? Remembering my childhood. Now not everybody has a great childhood, but for me, I did. Okay? And I started remembering what my father would do with me at bedtime. And we would talk about things that were great. Just before prayers, right? Whether you pray to God or not, or you just want to talk about positive mantra, what worked for me was, when I lost everything, I'm so grateful for the roof over my head. I'm so grateful for the air mattress I'm sleeping on. I'm so grateful for the fucking jacket I have as a pillow. I'm so grateful for the smallest of things. That helps. That helped me because there's a lot of people that don't have those things. Okay. Right. And when you're rebuilding from the ground up, That air mattress was everything. Okay? And then the mattress was everything. We all have stories, man.
I know we all have stories. I know we do have stories. Each one of us, and I don't care who you are out there.
Fucking people, you talk about judging?
Well, that's the thing. I mean,
dude, we're human. We're human.
I know we're human. We're judging, but we need to.
We're human. We make mistakes. We should not judge.
Right. You shouldn't judge. If you don't want someone to judge you, why would you want to judge somebody else? Okay. But people still, they don't give a shit. They'll talk about that person, right?
Yeah. But you know what? They let them talk about you. Because
you know what?
Then that's airtime. You're living rent free in someone's head.
Right.
And sometimes with the economy at this day and age.
I've learned I'm in a bubble, man. I'm in my own bubble.
Yeah.
It's all good. Anybody who wants in my bubble, they're welcomed.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Dave, you're in my bubble.
Well, thank you, sir.
You are.
I appreciate that.
You're a good human being.
So you're in my bubble.
I mean, I have a little bubble going on here.
I'm
bubble party. I'm not going to take it any more than that. But listen, I think what we're trying to get at is that everything leads to things like aspects, the judging, the disappointments, the disagreements, the life, the just being like self-esteem, valuable to your, like just being, everything is all aspects of that mental health, right? And I know we could talk forever about it, but I wanted to just to talk about, the reality of, what you guys went through, the reality of, what we need to make something more happen. That's what I want to see. Like tonight, I wanted to really bring out and stress the fact that we need more resources, and whoever's out there that could provide information or say, yes, every town or every city does have it. We're just not looking, or no one's putting it out there.
Now, if somebody called me randomly and said, I'm going to do everything I can to help that person through that moment instinctively.
Right.
But there are really, really wonderful, qualified people at all these helplines, man.
Well, that's what I'm hoping. That's what you'd think to have is the qualified personnel.
So when you put this out, then it took us 10, 15 minutes of Google research to find some emergency helpline numbers when we did our podcast on abuse, and they were the global, the different ones from different countries. So UK, Ireland, America, Canada, Australia. Mm-hmm. So these phone numbers are online. So you were saying about Googling, why am I feeling so bad? What can I do? Yeah. There are crisis numbers you can phone. There are text services where you can text a number. Some people don't want to pick up the phone. They don't want to talk to another person. They just want to text that person. I think there's a 5-digit text. I'll do the research and I'll post it when you post this podcast.
For sure.
That where you can text that number and someone will text you back. And you can have a text conversation with a counsellor or a volunteer who's been trained to deal with this kind of stuff.
Right.
To deal with talking with you at midnight when
I like it.
all you can see is darkness. There are loads of resources out there, but as you say, they're not
break
pushed.
My equipment. Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But
you're like an Italian. They talk with their hands.
Yeah, like, oh it's the British. We'll work while the bombs are dropping. But there are resources out there.
All right.
But it's our responsibility,
sure.
Those who have been through something, those who have come out of something, to make those resources available for everyone else, for kids, for adults. So
and that's what we do.
Yeah, but I think
it's direct them to the resources,
right? But I think it should be an easy process to go through.
It is,
and not just like I got to Google and spend 15 minutes.
You don't.
No, man, I could.
I
could go online.
But then
right
again,
now
like say, normally I'll research a ton of shit about this.
Yeah.
But I wanted to hear from you guys what you thought about it, and if there is resources about that online resources for it, then we gotta promote that more.
Yeah, we will.
People need to know. Yeah. People need to know that there is online counseling.
Yeah.
You've done it. You can be on Skype and you can have a full counseling session.
Yeah.
And now I know somebody very close to me in my life that has done that had fear towards it and doubt towards its effect. Now that she's done it a couple times, she says, it's working. I feel a connection with my counselor.
I love that.
So
I love hearing that.
This is what I mean. So there are resources. And you just got to find it. There are chat rooms, there's talks, there's helplines, there's suicide prevention.
Man, I don't know why I don't see that. We don't, you know, I'm a person that I'm just a normal human being that, you know, that has, you know, we have our own issues. Sometimes talk to myself about it, and I will, you know, either be like, well, fuck, it's not going to work, or it's going to work. Who cares? I talk to myself about it, right?
That's good.
That's why I'm in the studio all the time.
The most powerful voice in the world is the one you listen to. It's your own voice.
It's your own voice.
You can talk yourself into and out of anything better than anyone else can.
Of course.
So that's the voice you talk when you're alone. When you're in the next room, you talk to yourself. Have the conversation with yourself.
Yeah. I'm having one right now.
Where's the rum?
I'm hungry. What am I going to eat?
Why doesn't Dave have any forefather sauce here?
Right? Come on.
Where's the hot sauce?
I need some piri in my life.
Guys, I really appreciate, you know, you coming out tonight and talking about, you know, some sensitive topics. But yes, we do make, you know, we want to enlighten it and not just be a serious monotone type of conversation.
No.
You know, the podcast is open. It's free. It's loud. It's noisy. It's whatever you want it the fuck to be. And but we're dead serious about it. We're not joking around with anybody. We're dead serious about it. We want people to understand that, hey, we're here. We have issues. We want to help talk. We want to be involved. We want to, if you have issues, if you have a concern, you know, reach out to us. You know.
And there's another thing, actually, if I may.
Yeah.
Being a globetrotter. Globetrotter.
That's okay. I can hear you perfectly.
Okay. So there's a thing. So when I was in Ireland, which is lovely, it's beautiful, it's wonderful, it's magical. It's
yes, it is.
Is that where you guys met?
No. No, but that's where I went.
Right.
I had to get away from things. I went to Ireland and
It's
did a
healing.
little vacation. It's very healing, man.
And for me, it was
It's where we first met. Yes.
Yeah.
But we met on Twitter.
You met on Twitter?
Yeah.
through mental health.
Through mental
awesome,
health.
man. That's
she liked
great.
my UIB Matter stuff, like-minded. And
Awesome.
Things changed.
So it wasn't the long hair or the goatee. It wasn't none of that. It was just more.
Well, I didn't have that all then. So, you know, it was like, and I thought I got a close enough shave, Dave.
No, man. When things in life happen and the conversation changed, and I needed to get out of town for a bit and sort of recharge, and I did. And then when we met for the first time, I just thought, you know, I've been wanting this podcast for so long, and her not just experience and knowledge and credentials,
but more her openness.
Right. I just like, this is somebody I want to talk about with mental health. This is somebody I feel like I can openly discuss mental health with.
Right.
That was first and foremost why I wanted her as my co-host, is because I could talk openly about my shit.
Yeah.
And so could she.
Yeah.
And then we realized that through that, it makes you feel better when you're talking about it. And you're learning together.
Right.
Oh, that worked for you. Oh, I never even thought of that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And you're not fucking feeling judged.
No, and the thing is that you guys are talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's the thing. I think it's so important to have someone, and I'm going to say someone you can talk to.
Absolutely.
100%.
But this is a habit, and like going back to being in Ireland, there's this thing that I had to get used to because I'm from England. I was born in England. I was born and raised in England, where nobody talks to anybody because we have to keep calm and carry on. There isn't a war on in England, so you can talk to each other. But in Ireland, you walk past strangers, and if you make eye contact, even if you don't, it's, good morning, how are you? That's the first thing you'll hear.
Accent.
No. Remember I said, did I say something wrong? I said good morning to somebody, and somebody said, morning, mind yourself. I'm like, did I say something wrong?
No.
Mind yourself. Like if my mom or dad
What
said,
is that
mind
mind?
yourself,
What is it mind?
Look after yourself.
Yeah, look
Look
after
after
yourself.
yourself.
But
Like,
if my
is that-
parents
Mind each
said
other.
to me,
Mind yourself
I
and
would
mind
have
each
said
in
other.
a positive way, not
In a
like you
not
better,
like watch out.
Yeah, exactly.
That's,
Watch out.
that's
Look at-
totally British. That is,
Mind
look
yourself.
out.
mind yourself is take care of yourself. But
Yeah, mind yourself.
I didn't know. I'm some Canuck in Ireland, and I'm like, did I say something wrong?
No,
Did
but
I
if
just,
you,
did I just piss him off? Am I gonna get killed by the Irish mafia? Or
there is no Irish mafia.
The nicest people in Ireland. Nicest people in Ireland.
what's the Peaky Blinders? The Peaky Blinders.
They're from Birmingham, but they're essentially
Yeah.
Irish.
And filmed in Toronto.
But anyway, the whole thing of how are you?
Yeah.
Hi,
Mind
how
yourself.
are you? Is I'm grand. If
Yeah.
you're not grand, Don't say you are. Hi, how are you? Oh, I'm fine. No, I'm not fine. Actually, today I don't feel good. Oh, what's the matter?
Yeah.
Talk about
You
it.
get that over there?
They do.
You can do it.
I would sit
you
in the
can
coffee shop and
actually
witness
do it.
I'd sit at the cafe
Because
and
that-
witness people
I
talking
love
about
that.
things. Yeah,
Yeah.
very open. Very
Dave,
open
hi,
country,
how
man.
are you?
I'm fucking great. How about yourself?
I'm good, but not 100%.
Is it the hair?
Yeah, it's always
Oh, that's
the
why.
hair.
Okay. Because there's no peri peri in your cupboard. Is that why?
I feel judged.
No.
I love peri. I used to love peri peri.
You don't like my peri peri?
I love your peri peri.
Okay, yes.
Because it's all natural, isn't
Yes,
it?
all
Forefathers
natural.
peri peri sauce is all natural and now gluten free.
Wow, look at that plug right in there. I love it.
Wow.
Put
Hey,
it on your
and you have
chin.
online you have online orders too, right?
Well, hey, you know what? Just hang on. Stay right there.
Yeah.
Oh no way!
Oh!
Oh my god!
I want to thank you guys for coming out tonight and talking
for having
about
us,
just.
Thank you
know,
very much.
Yeah,
Lovely
no
to
problem.
meet you too.
Nice meeting you too. It's the first time we met.
Yeah.
The next time you DJ,
Yes.
we're
Just
coming.
take those old records off the shelf.
She sings,
She
eh?
does. You gotta get her on
She
the mic.
sings.
You gotta get her on the mic.
Okay.
Screw
I don't.
out
I don't have a karaoke
Screw out a
machine.
record
though.
contract, man. She toured, dude. That's a whole other conversation. You love music. You guys got to talk. About
Okay.
that.
Hey, listen. We'll talk. We'll talk. Thank you so much, guys, for coming out tonight. I hope everyone had a great time and understanding and maybe being aware of what's happening. And if anything bothers you, just talk to somebody. Okay, reach out. Just be open to talk about your feelings. Talk about what is bothering you, because in the end, you do not want to be a statistic. You want to be someone who says, you know what, I love my life and I'm going to make this work, and it's going to happen for me. Right. So, I appreciate you guys being here tonight.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks for everyone stopping at the Noisy Chair podcast, and we'll see you guys soon next time. Peace.